Hello and welcome to lesson 4 of week 1. In this lesson, we are going to look at the JavaScript object notation. My name is Mildred. Now, JavaScript object notation, JSON, is an exchange format that we use for API. And when we want to build our REST API, which is what we'll be doing in this course, we want to understand the basics of JSON in Python. Now, if you go back to the Python fundamental course, we looked at the inbuilt modules in Python and we looked at the JSON module in that lesson. Now, JSON is a data interchange format and is universally supported. It's human readable and it has the key value structure like dictionary in Python. So whenever we pass a JSON file, we're going to return as a dictionary. Now, I have a file here called data.json that we will use for our example before we go on to build like a simple weather app in this lesson. Now, you can see how it's structured in JSON, except that the key for JSON must be double quotes. Like in Python, we normally use in a dictionary single or double quotes, but it must be a double quote like this. And we can see that this is like a Python dictionary with name value pairs, and the values can be of any type. So now we have this name and it has a value that is a list of dictionary, and the dictionary has a list, and you can see how embedded it is. And so you should learn how to read this, understand it, and be able to know the type that you are receiving from an API. Most API documentations would give you a sample output of what you get, and so you can use that to build your app. So pass whatever you receive, you know what the keys are from the API when you make a request. Now, when you make a request, we have different type of HTTP method. We have get when you want to just get something, post when you want to send data, and you see the different methods as we build our app. Alright, so let's see the module. For Python, you import JSON. Once you have JSON imported, let's say we have a dictionary person, and this person is, let's say, has the name key and the value is Alice, and then it has the age key and the value is 30. Now, if you want to convert this dictionary to JSON, so let's say you are building an API script where program can call your API and you return data. You want to send this data as JSON. So let's say let's call this JSON string. The name of our variable will now be equal to the JSON module has the DOMS method that we use. So you say JSON.DOMS, the JSON that we imported .DOMS person. Okay. If we import JSON as J, so you can now say J.DOMS here. So you can alias the name, okay, J.DOMS person. And when we come here to print JSON string, we'll see that it will print out the string and we'll have it double quoted, the name value pair. Even if we made this, let's say we made this single quote, the keys are single quotes. Here, JSON will always convert this to double quotes because the key must be double quoted. We can convert JSON to Python dictionary, and to convert that, you use JSON.load. Here we'll have convert this to Python. We'll say let's call this data is equal to j.loads JSON string, and if we come here to print data, we'll see that it's going to print out this as a Python dictionary, and when I run this, I will have it. The dictionary has a single quote for the key, while the JSON string has the key double quoted. Right? We can load from a file, and so we're going to load this data.json file. So you want to refer to your week 4 of Python fundamental, where we did dictionary and we saw the different methods that we can use to work on dictionary values. So now let's say we want to load from a file. You normally import JSON and then you get the file. So we use the context manager with open. So we want to open, the name of the file is in the same directory. It's called data.json. So the extension is .json. Let's say we want to open this as F. So let's give it an alias, and we want to say data is equal to, we say JSON.load, right? And we'll load F. So if we're loading from a file, is .load. Remember that when we're converting from JSON to dictionary, .loads with an S. Alright, that's the difference. And now here, let's say we want to print data. Let's say we want to print only the keys. So here we have keys, course title, description, we have module, and then we have I think we have module title, and we have instructor, something like that. So let's say we want to print data.keys. Alright, so it will load the file and print out all of the keys of the item. So now we know the keys, course title, description, modules, instructor. So now that we know the keys, we can say we want to print all of the values from the modules. For instance, data modules, when we print this, we can see this printing like this. So we have module title, we have, so now this is a list, the module is a list, and so we have them, the modules is a list of stuff. Alright, so you can use all of the different methods that we use to manipulate to get them. You can say data.item items. So get a tuple here, and you have that of the tuple of the name and the value. So course title, we have it by Python for data science, we have description, then we have that. All right, so we can say data.get description, and then we get just the description. So let me remove these items, we clear and we run, so we get a description. We can say we want to get something else. Let's say we want to get modules. I think we have modules as the key. We get all the modules. In these modules, we see that it has different items in the modules. Well, we can see the module title, and then it's just a list of different items within it. So now if you have this, and you know that you want to get index position 0, which is going to be the module title, and then when you run, you get, let's clear. Okay, so we get only the module title here, and we can see for this, we can see the name value pairs for the index position 0. All right, so this is the basics of how we pass this, and then we start working on it like we work on a dictionary. Let's see how we can build an API, and for this we want to look at like HTTP requests, but we want to import request. We have a request. Request is not an inbuilt module in Python, so we have to pip install like this. Now remember that we did something about env file. We always have to activate it. So I'll say the name of my file .venv/bin/activate, and it's activated. Now I'll say pip install request. If I don't already have it, it's going to install it here. So I have it installed in my environment. So now I can import request and I won't have any error. So we can have like the weather API, for instance. Let's say we want to use that to get weather information. Let's say for the front end of our application, we have HTTP method get that we can use to collect information from an API post when we want to send data, but we're going to focus on the get request here. So we can say we want to build or want to create functions that will do that. Maybe functions that will fetch the weather data, and then want to have a function that would process the coordinates or things like that. Refer to your lesson resource to see those ones and how to use the Python return types or type hinting when you do those requests. But we'll go straight into doing a lab exercise. Now for this lab, we want to create a terminal application that will take a city name as an input. We want to send a HTTP GET request to a weather API. We are going to use the openmeteor.com. I'm going to display the temperature, the conditions, the humidity, and then we'll store the history of queries, and then we can compute minimum, maximum, average temperature from this. So let's start this. We import request, and then we're going to use typing because we want to do the return type. So from typing, we want to import, let's say we'll use dict and list. For now, we don't know what we'll use. We'll import them as we need. So we want to import dict and list. Now I want to create a function that will fetch the weather. So let me create this and say the fetch weather like this, and in a pair of parentheses I want to create the parameter which is city. This city is going to be a string, so we want the user to supply a city. For an API, you want to give a type hint. You want it to return a dictionary at the end of it all. Now we want this to return the current weather for the given city. We'll use the geocoding plus the weather API. So let's do the geocoding. Let's say geo URL will now be equal to, let's use the format string, and this is HTTPS geocoding. So you see this in your lesson resource, the links geocoding API.openmeteor.com/v1. So you always copy the link. API's documentation will always give you this link. Name is equal to city, and then we want to get the response. Let's store in response geo response will be equal to, now we use the request module that we imported. So let me say geo underscore response, and so we say request.get. So by using the get method, we want to pass in the geo URL to this. You can directly pass in this URL into this, but we prefer it like this. So we'll get geo URL.json. Okay, and now we want to now check if results. All right, so if results, we put results. If results not in geo response. Okay, so if result not in geo response, you return. So we want to return a dictionary, and we'll just say error, and then the value will be city not found. Right, now here we want to have the latitude and the longitude. So let's say lat is equal to geo response results. So now because of the API documentation, I know what I'm looking for here. Okay, so you read documentation, and as we go along, I'll show you how to read documentations to understand. And the longitude will be geo response, and we want to get the result 0 and longitude. So now we can fetch the weather using coordinates. So let's say the params be equal to latitude lat, longitude long, and then current weather true. Now weather response will be equal to request.get. Now we want to get, here we'll provide the API URL URL, and then the params is equal to params, and we want to get it .json. Now we want to, at the end, return weather response dot get. We want to get the current weather, and so we have built this function to fetch the weather. This whole function that I have created here, so here params equal to, this whole function I have created here is going to help us fetch the weather, and you need prior knowledge of this API documentation to know what link URL you are putting in and what the different keys are that we are looking for. Now we have created this and we want to get the current weather. We can have now the weather logic calculator where we want to calculate statistics, like we want to get the minimum temperature from the minimum history, the maximum temperature, and we want to get the average temperature. So we can create another function here. Let's say they calculate that, and so we have a history parameter. This is going to be a list of floats because temperature will be stored in floats. You will see it from the documentation, and then you want the final return type to always be a dict of string is the key, the value will be a float, like that. And then we want to return, here you always return a dictionary. We'll return, let's say, min temp as the key, and then the value will be the minimum of the history. We have max temp will be the max of the history, and then we'll have average temp will be the sum of the history divided by the length of history. Okay, so this is like a basic app. Let's see if this works. Let's create a main application loop where we'll just call main. So let's call this the run weather app, and here we want to get the, let's have a temps is equal to an empty list, and let's say while true we want to have the city. We want it to ask the user for a city, right? We'll say input, let's put a new line, enter city name, or we want the person to type it, so they type in the name of the city. Once the city is entered, we want to convert it to lower, so we'll say if city.lower is equal to width, we want to exit, or we'll say break to exit, right? Let's use double quotes for consistency. Now we want to get the weather will now be equal to, we call our function fetch weather, and we'll supply the city. Okay, so the city will be whatever the user fills in as the city, and we want to say if the temperature is not in weather, we want to print, let's say error would not fetch weather. So there will be a more production way we'll do this, where we'll see and test for other things, different HTTP status code, have our custom error messages, but for now let's do it as basic. Now we'll say if the temperature is not there, but if it is, we want to say the temperature is equal to weather temperature. So this is a key there, and we also want to say the temps here that we have, let's append the temperature. So say temps append temp. Okay, so now we can get the, or print out a nice message to say the current temperature in the city is this. So we can say print current temperature in the city. We'll put the temp here, and let's say we are getting this in, let's say we want it in degrees Celsius. Let's say degree Celsius. Let's make it degree Celsius. Now if the length of the temps is greater than 1, we want to calculate the statistics, because now here we use calculate stats here. We want to calculate the temperature. So if we have historical temperature, so if length is greater than 1, we want to say stats is equal to calculate stats, and we'll pass in the temps. So now we can easily get the minimum, and then we'll get the maximum, we'll get the average calculated. So now we can now say print temperature stats. Let's just have a nicely formatted printout, and then we print here mean, let's say stats mean temps. We'll use single quotes here, and this is going to be in, you put your degrees Celsius, let's say this, and we want to print max, and we want to print average. Okay, so you see how we did calculation. So your assignment will have something similar, but I want you to attend the live conference on Friday morning that we'll use to go in more details than the pre-recorded video. It is important that you watch this video before you come for the live web conference. That will teach you deeper, or make you understand whatever it is that you don't understand. An opportunity for you to ask questions and for you to get clarity and understand this even deeper. So we have the min temp, max temp, average temp, and we have that. So now we can come here to say if name equal to main, then we'll say run weather app, and then let's see, let's get the terminal. So it says enter a city, let me say Atlanta, and request.geojson. So it says name request is not defined, so it's requests with an S. So here I put request, so requests. Ask me to enter a city, I will say Atlanta, and API URL is not defined. So let's get the API URL. Here I want to have imported this, and let me have API URL here, and the URL for API is https api.openmeteor.com/v1/forecast. Okay, so with that This API URL, we use it here without defining it there. So now we can enter a city, let's say Atlanta, and I think I may have to quit and rerun this. So quit, clear, run again, and I enter a city, Atlanta, and could not fetch weather. So our error here, the current weather spelling. So we don't have the spelling right. So you can see how a little mistake with our keys can cause us errors. So our spelling here was wrong. So let's see what else we have wrong here. So when we copy and paste, this is supposed to be max and this is supposed to be average. All right, now let's run this again and we'll enter a name of a city, Atlanta, and we have current temperature in Atlanta is 3.2 degrees Celsius. Name of city, let's say London. It will give us the minimum temperature 3.2, max temperature, average temperature. So you can get your statistics for if they have several, but this only had one, and so we'll have one registered. Let's say we want to have like Lagos, and then it can give you the minimum temperature, the max, the average temperature. All right, and this is just from an API. You're not getting the true weather. I know that there's a weather app where you can get the current and the real weather, but we're using this for test to be seeing how we can connect to an API and get a response. So as we go along and as we do our live web conference, we're going to build more real world app and get detailed explanations to all of what we have taught. So try to go through all of your pre-recorded videos, and I hope to see you all in class for the live lesson. Thank you and see you next week.